Delta once again under fire. Not too long ago, the airline was grilled for charging nearly $3,000 in baggage fees to troops returning from overseas. Now Delta is feeling the heat over its new alliance with Saudi Arabian Airlines. Critics, along with our next guest, believe Delta may discriminate against Jews and Christians because of this. Joining us from Phoenix is the president of the American Islamic Forum for Democracy, Dr. Zuhdi Jasser. Thank you for being here.
It's nice to be with you. Thanks for having me.
Doctor, what are your thoughts about Delta's collaboration with Saudi Arabian Airlines?
Well, I think it's the tip of the iceberg, and I'm glad we're bringing attention to this because Saudi Arabia is one of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and the President's Commission on Religious Freedom has cited Saudi Arabia as being one of the most religiously oppressive and non-pluralistic countries. And when they allow them to enter, Delta entered this sort of network with them, giving business people the opportunity to be able to book with other airlines and made it easy to travel there, but yet their visa requirements are pretty oppressive. Women have to have sponsors. They even had on their website with the Saudi Tourism Board in 2004, it said not only Israelis with anybody with an Israeli stamp can't go there, it said Jewish people cannot. And then when there was public exposure of this, they removed the Jewish people part. And it's still pretty much well known that, remember, they have to be this way because they have a Wahhabi mindset to their political system. And in Mecca, for example, only Muslims can go. So if they're going to control one of the largest cities to have only Muslims there, they have to know the religion of other people. Christians that go there can't take Bibles. Muslims that go there can only take certain versions of the Quran, and others are pulled out of their hands and confiscated because they may be too moderate or reformist. So I think it's time we start to expose corporate complicity in this and isolate Saudi Arabia because of their lack of religious freedom.
Well, here's what the Delta spokesman had to say. Tribor bin Sadr responded by saying it's a non-discrimination policy. Delta does not discriminate, nor do we condone discrimination. It's important to realize that visa requirements to enter any country are dictated by that nation's government, not the airlines, and they apply to anyone entering the country regardless of whether it's by plane, bus, or train. So they're essentially saying, the responsibility here lies with the Saudi Arabian government. It's not our fault if they're not letting one particular person in or another particular person in. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I'll tell you, this is where companies like Delta try to claim, feign ignorance and say, well, we don't have anything to do with Saudi Arabia. But at the end of the day, they're making it just like any other country, and as far as ease of getting in there. So I expect them as a citizen of the freest country in the world that our companies take a stand and say, you know what, we're not going to make it easy for people to get to Saudi Arabia and book through our airlines and be part of our networks. We're going to isolate countries like the Kingdom and say, you know what, we're not going to let them be part of our network. And that's where I'm disappointed with Delta. And there may be other airlines like them and other companies. Remember, we have universities that accept large donations from Saudi Arabia and then become laundering instruments for their information, and we no longer see criticism of their societies. We see the plight of women like Manar al-Sharif who wanted to just drive in Saudi Arabia, and few of these companies actually exposed and showed the plight of what they're trying to do. So this is why this is a very important subject. All
right. Thank you so much, Dr. Zuhdi Jasser, for joining us this morning to weigh in on this new collaboration. We appreciate it.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
And